And now the biggest referral source is SMART. So right now we have 200 and something SMART people in the world, and 90 more that are going to be shortly. So we have 300 in the world. And we are, the Academy is driving a huge social campaign to educate people on SMART. And so people are seeking now on the form, it says, how do you find us? Looking for SMART. So it's paid for advertising. If you become SMART certified, which is a simple thing, you can do it in an evening, and buy the equipment, it's the best investment you're ever going to have. I mean, you need to be on it if you're ready to do it. That's huge for you.
I was just going to say, I can say now I'm one of the 300 smartest people in the world.
Yeah, of course. Congratulations on that, as a matter of fact.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That was just funny because when you give numbers to people, they don't realize that how lucky they are to find somebody like you out, in the God's country, so to speak. Because there isn't that many people that are wanting to practice in the suburbs and stuff like that. Most people, when I look at it, they're working in the big cities because, that's where the masses of people are kind of inquiring about it, so to speak.
We have in the office, we have smart cards. So I quit handing out my, if you guys haven't seen it, and I quit handing out my cards, and I hand out my, I'll pass it around if you guys want to just look. But I don't hand out my card anymore, but the ego's gone. So to my doctors in my area, I send a stack of cards, and I tell them in a little letter, all you have to do, if you want your patient to have their mercury out, tell them to find a smart dentist, and I'm the only one in the area. And in most areas, if there's one or two or three, it doesn't matter. They're going to start sending people, and now they don't feel like you're trying to sell yourself. You're selling this safe removal package, and it's much smoother, People, when you get their card, they're like, oh yeah, right, okay, buddy, But when you give them this and you say, hey, this is a safe removal thing that everybody should do, and just tell your patients to find a smart certified dentist.
So allopathic doctors, functional, your letter with your note,
it goes well. Yeah. In my area, there's a lot of naturopaths. Okay. Then, if you know of a conventional medicine doctor that might be interested or open-minded about it, then it might be worth your time to talk with them. But yeah, mostly the alternative practicing, the herbologist, whoever, that it would pertain to is, I put these out at Whole Foods, they might last a day, but I'll throw some there. But when they find what SMART is, then now you've got somebody interested, and you don't have to have your name on it.
So Mark, you put the card there, but I don't see your information on it. So how is it?
They go to the SMART site, they say, and it says find a dentist.
Okay, I see.
Oh, Mark's the only one.
What happens when someone else opens next to you that also offers it?
It's okay. It's okay. We are all plenty busy. I'm not worried about business anymore. This isn't about getting business, it's about doing the right thing. And now at this meeting, I have a guy from my hometown I've been to. So I'm just happy to have somebody that I can talk with. And he's nowhere near being smart, because he is, he's just like, oh my God, the mercury's poison, And so all of this is a process, It takes time. People don't come generally. They don't generally come and buy all the equipment and start doing it. They have to, for me, when I started, it took me a year to stop to believe that they had it right about fluoride. So, you know.
Is that something that is off the website of IAOMT where you can actually get the imaging, or do you buy them from IAOMT, or you print them yourself?
These come from the main office. You can buy them.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, very inexpensive cards, and they're nice. You felt them. They have like this texture. It's a professional card, you know.
Awesome.
So I put this up here only because one of the first challenges is going back and talking to your staff and your, especially the hygienists are like my toughest ones. Get them to stop doing it. So for me, now since we have this new program, the online learning, so I would suggest now if I was starting, I would pay my staff to go on and take all the modules and I would pay them to do it, and then take the testing, and you can confirm that they've gone through it, and then you can have a better conversation. They will come back and they want to do it. When they see that they're dealing with poison every day, and it becomes a very serious subject. So you need to educate them. You've got to get them on board, and so education. I used to just take the videos of what I would see here at the meeting, and I would sometimes say, hey, everyone's going to watch this at lunch today, I'm buying you lunch. Or I still send these the lecture videos to my patients for education. If I think that they can understand, they love to see what I've learned. So that's it right there, baby. Get smart, I'm gonna tell you, it's paid for. The fluoride thing, I mean, fluoride is not an essential mineral, so what guy thought that you could actually improve the human body by adding something new? And it's not happening. Everything we take, all the herbs we take, all the supplements we take, are for some kind of ailment that we might have, we're suffering fatigue or something. Our teeth are fine. Fluoride is not making them better. And there's nothing in your body runs on fluoride. Fluoride is the most reactive element in the periodic table, and it overtakes iodine in your thyroid and causes thyroid problems. It doesn't cause it tomorrow. You don't get a fluoride treatment today and have it tomorrow. Everything is accumulated. It's all bioaccumulation. The mercury, the fluoride,
Yeah, so previously I live in Boulder, Colorado, where the whole town is kind of anti-fluoride, and so I practiced there for 8 years before taking a break, and I just yeah. And so my patients before would come to me and not want fluoride, and I was educating them like, oh no, you need fluoride, because I had a handful of patients who went their whole lives without a cavity, and then they're like, and then like 2 years ago, and then they didn't see a dentist for 2 years, and then I found like 22 cavities on them. And we would trace it back to, they switched to toxicology without fluoride 2 years ago. And so I kept seeing this pattern in my practice where I felt like people who removed topical fluoride from their routine ended up with these cavities. So I became, so I would tell the story of people, and but in my own life, I was very holistic and natural in doing all these things myself, but then I'd go to work as a dentist and just be like a completely different person telling people fluoride. Well, so now I'm on board with this fluoride thing, and some girlfriends are traveling with me this weekend, so I'm telling them, like, I'm going to call my husband and tell him to take all the fluoride out of the house now, and my friends who are toxicologists are like, what? You were so passionate about fluoride. What do you mean? Like, you of all people. So I feel, the only hump I can't go over is that I just remember seeing rampant decay in mouths for people who grew up on well water, or people who removed fluoride from their toothpaste. So you're saying it's something else?
I'll show you. It's perfect, because I was the same, and it's like, we were taught, you need fluoride IV. you know, and it's not, it's a poison. So what in your mind you saw as in your mind what you saw as a cause is not really the cause, because what you're going to show you the book, and in your e-learning, you see that you'll see that the cause of decay is not even what you think it is. Okay, so the fluid flow understanding protection mechanism in the teeth is how your body resists decay. It's not bugs coming in, and not only is flossing overrated, but so is brushing. So, I mean, believe me, I don't want to sit next to you if you're not brushing your teeth. It's not there's no magic stuff going on your teeth. So, and it does lower your IQ as well. That's well proven. So, I fought at the town of Amherst, and they have fluorosilicic acid that they put in the water. There's only 2 towns in our hill towns. That fluorosilicic acid comes from China, and it has at least 6 heavy metals in it, and they put it in the water. And when we confronted them about it, there was like some mumbling by the water manager, and yeah, we did some testing, you know, but it's the metals concentration is very low, don't worry about it, you know.
How many metals?
Oh, there's mercury, there's radioactive minerals, there's thallium maybe. Because it's a byproduct.
Toxic byproduct.
And the whole thing is now they wouldn't allow it to be sold in the United States. So they actually, what I understand is the United States sells all of this waste to China, and then China sells it back to us, so it's a loophole. And that's what they use to put in your water. It's fluorosilicic acid. And that's by far 98% of fluoridation comes from this chemical. And it's totally loaded with heavy metals. And it's on the government website. I mean, it's not, we don't make this stuff up. You can go there and find it. I got all this information on the government website. The chemical, we had to admit that in these areas, what was the effect? Well, fluoride will immediately mineralize the teeth. So when you profeed, you take out all the surface minerals, you put fluoride, it goes there. But we know within 2 days the fluoride's gone on your teeth, and you ate it. So your body doesn't want it there. It gets mineralized and it goes off, and then it probably gets into your thyroid and your bones.
What about just leaving them, if they don't have any dairy allergies, what about just leaving them MI paste?
MI paste is fine, but it's not fine for me because I'm organic and it's got saccharin or something.
It's casein. It is casein.
No, but there's an artificial sweetener.
Oh, really?
So, and I think it's saccharin or.
There's another one by Foco though, and I want to.
Foco's a good company. I would look at that.
There's another one by them.
Yeah. I would look at that.
I use ACP, but it's essentially calcium phosphate.
Yeah.
It mineralizes your teeth.
Yeah, this is what you want, is the minerals. Because if you're polishing and demineral, give them some minerals, let them soak it up for a minute.
I buy the free, Premier Dental sells polishing paste that has ACP gel in it for it.
Yeah.
That's all I use.
So, yeah, you just, you know,
Premier.
for our office, we try to be most as organic as possible, so some products don't work for us, some do, and that's how, you know. But it's not like you're eating it forever, so we're not strict. So here, this book I told you, that everyone needs to buy and read, dental fluid transport. So what they showed very definitively in the rats, they injected sucrose into the stomach of rats and their teeth rotted. And they also showed with the same diet, these rats, the control, all these rats were flying, they put the rats into a little cage, stressed, when they stressed them so they couldn't move, their teeth rotted. So it's not the sugar on the teeth. It has nothing to do with it. And then, in that 20 years of study, they showed that it is actually your body, you know, those tubules that they told us were for pain sensation, they're actually for fluid flow out of the teeth. And your pulp has larger, it has blood vessels, of course, in the pulp. And the vessels have larger size holes, they allow fluid pressure. So when you eat, there's a hormone released from the hypothalamus, which goes to your parotid gland, and then there's a secondary hormone that goes to your pulp, and it causes your teeth to sweat. And that is your protection mechanism. It has nothing to do with fluoride. The bacteria can't go in. Bacteria are always there. They did some experiments, fascinating, well, it's all experiments, but they did some experiments where they showed that even when they tried to sterilize, of course they could only disinfect, the bugs are always there. So they're opportunistic, they're waiting. As soon as you have stress, you're eating garbage, here's your person who went off of town water, they're well water, they're organic now. Well, I can't stand this organic diet, I'm eating chocolate every night. You know, these little things that I find out all the time. Oh, I just eat a little bit of sugar. Well, what's a little bit? Well, every night we have a little ice cream before we go to bed. Well, that's great. So as soon as you go to bed, the hormone gets released, your teeth stop sweating, and the bugs are just like munching all night, every night. So that's how decay happens.
So you're saying your teeth sweat when you stop eating. So
No, your teeth sweat whenever you eat. Yeah.
So you eat chocolate because we eat.
No, you eat chocolate and it stops the hormone release from the hypothyroid. So now the sweating mechanism shuts down.
And that's the sharp your experience is the cell moving in the fluid, and suddenly it turns inward and it starts sucking instead of.
It actually reverse flows.
Yeah.
Yeah. They put dye in the mouth, then they injected the sugar, and the teeth turn green. It actually sucks it in. So, oops. That's how it works, man. It's not like what they tell you. It's not like these acid-forming bugs, like getting on your teeth. Oh my God, you got to brush them out. It's not that. You see some people, their teeth are look like a blanket up there, and they have cavities. And then because they're eating a great diet, they might have a little SIBO, a little small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or something. But the bugs that are there are not going into the teeth and causing any decay because they have a great diet and everything's working. Don't worry about that, you know.
Isn't it something that we also have to think about? A lot of these holistic people, they tend to do a lot of juicing and stuff like that, which their body could be acidic, which means that potentially you're losing calcium from the bone and the teeth as well.
Well, that's whole body acidity is a problem.
Yeah.
A huge problem.
So a lot of holistic people that come to me, they'll tell me like, oh, I've got perfect diet, this and that, and I'm asking them like, how do you develop insulin decay? And they're saying, I'm juicing. Well, juicing's got citric acid, it's got sugar, you know, all that stuff does eventually make you acidic potentially. And so what happens is the calcium can be leaching out from the bone to neutralize your blood.
This is how it works. This is the source of osteoporosis.
Exactly.
Acid. I just talked to one of our colleagues yesterday. He tests every patient every time he sees them with some pH paper and a saliva, which made me, I thought, you know, I'd never done it. Maybe I should start doing it and give you a little bit more look, you have to decide what's going to be the scope of your practice. Do you want to get involved with this kind of dietary, or if they're too far off track, I send them to my naturopathic medicine doctor who's functional medicine, and I said, you need this guy, he's going to guide you, and you need to get them out. And you're not going to solve anything by giving them calcium. That's just, causing atherosclerosis. So yes, you're correct. It is, and juicing is not good of fruit. I mean, vegetable juice in a blender, not a juicer. So that you get the whole plant. That's how I would, if you want to do this kind of thing. What's the expensive blender?
Vitamins. What's that? Vitamins.
Vitamins.
Vitamins, yes. Mine have had it for 14 years. And every so often I send back the picture and have to get a new one. Or I don't send it back. I complained the first time. And they said, oh, you put it in the dishwasher. I didn't, because I didn't, my wife did. I bought 2 pictures. That thing's awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to juice, that's it. So I highly advise you to read the book. Okay, that book, you have to look for it by exact title. It's funny how it doesn't come up on Amazon very easy. The other book that you need to read, of course, and be well familiar with, is the Western Price, because almost all of your patients will be coming from that place. So if you're not familiar with Western Price and all the things they do, you need to think about at least be well familiar with it. And it's essentially some paleo diet. The organization, of course, talks about the toxicity of root canals, and you're going to have to decide that root canal. The very next most difficult question, the root canal question, And so, what are we going to do about that? Here are the tests. These are the things that I thought I came to my mind that I use every day. Clifford was here, the Clifford testing. I don't do it on everyone, but I try to remember to offer Clifford testing to everyone. It's a blood test that they test for actually classes of compounds, phenols, blah, blah, and then they extrapolate it to like a, 843,264 dental products. And then, so that gives you some guide, and some people need the comfort. Basically, all of the materials that I use seldom show up on Clifford. So I feel confident that just using, but if someone's got autoimmune or something, you want to have Clifford. If somebody's got immune issues right off the bat, but or if they have that personality that everything has to be perfect, you better make sure, you get a Clifford. I think it's a little under $300. The ELISA Act is a live cell delayed food allergy. Bless you. It's a delayed action. It's the best food intolerance testing. And sometimes there's a bunch of them out there. They're all at best 45 to 55% accurate, whereas the ELISA Act is 82% accurate. So that test I will, and insurance doesn't pay for it, their doctor doesn't know about it, I will order it for them if they want it, the company's great, and they'll just send you a box, here, go have the phlebotomy, and phlebotomists do it, and they get a big thick report, you've helped them out immensely. If you have that suspicion in your mind that it's a food intolerance, and some people really need to show it, if you show it, that's the best. ELISA is the only true metal test, ELISA. And the ELISA is very particular about which labs you use to actually do the test. It's got to go overnight to the lab. But there are no pure titanium implants. all of them are alloys. Every metal implant has nickel. And so they're very often, it will be, sometimes it's 20 years later, but very often somebody will have metal implants. And then they start having some systemic problems, very often hip problems. Hip problems associated with metal implants is common. And you want to show them, you run a ELISA. There again, you can order the ELISA test. You go on the website, you can pick which one you want. And you know what implant they have, and you can order testing for those alloys, and now you can show them that you're reacting to your implant.
So are you saying most of the titanium has a equivalent?
All titanium, 100% of all titanium implants has, in order to use titanium in this way to make implants, they have to drive the reaction with nickel. It's a catalyst. And so it's less than 2%, so they don't have to list it. So you see, if you really push, you always have to push these companies to get the exact content of the implant. You'll see under 2%. There's miscellaneous.
Because a lot of them are allergic to nickel.
Jess Clifford says 100% of all people eventually become reactive to nickel if they aren't now. So that's what he sees in his testing laboratory.
Can I ask you, you mentioned Clifford, but there's another one that I use, biocomp, it's Lynch.
I don't subscribe to it. But I don't know, I don't,
But it's like that, right?
it's like that, yeah, it's harder to read, much harder to read. Then they have this most reactive.
Right, least reactive.
And according to my science guy who does this lab, he says it's either reactive or it's not. So that's why I don't. But if you're doing something, you're doing worlds more than 99% of anything. So if you want to use that, that's fine. But I find it very difficult to read that. The Quicksilver Scientific, awesome learning, and detox in a box. So for me, for Mercury detox, I am totally. Not totally, but for the most part, no DMPS, no DMSA. I use natural. Remember, I'm a tree hugging heavy. See the hair? Smallest hair. So, use natural. So, our system uses glutathione. So, this is a liposomal glutathione-based system. You need to do it for at least a year. Better for 2 years, and if you're a dentist, that's for my patients. If you're a dentist, you do periodic detoxing as long as you walk in your office every day, so that you're accumulating. And so it doesn't hurt to do some detoxing.
So, can you just back up here? Because yesterday I was in that speakers forum, and they did talk about DMSA,
Yes, yeah.
DTA, and what it said, oh, it's not really a good chelator, it's in the sandwich, it causes like a sandwich. So why is it allowed to do that?
Because that's what they're taught. Why do the dentists want to do mercury metal? So the EDTA is the thing they use for lead. So if you have a very chronic lead situation, you might consider it. If they're really bad on lead, you probably don't want to force it out like that either. So EDTA, according to Dr. Yu, he says if you give them EDTA before you take their mercury out, it makes it harder for them to get their mercury out. So I don't use, I did some EDTA after I detoxed with the liposomal glutathione for about 8 years. And then I tried, there is some literature, in my family is atherosclerosis. And we know that you can do IV EDTA and you can reverse atherosclerotic. And the protocol is pretty rigorous. You've got to do 26 IV visits where you sit for 3 hours. But I had this great idea that I would take the liposomal EDTA and take the equivalent in all at once and do it while I was working. I was so whacked out. I was like, okay, this isn't so. My veins are what they are. I treat myself with antioxidants and good supplements. So I advocate, this is mine, you have to decide for yourself. You can, Quicksilver Scientific, Chris Shade wasn't here this time, has been here many times, is the hottest detox speaker on the medical and dental world circuit right now. It's great. It's fun to be with, and you go to that site and it's easy for you to watch. It might be hard for you to understand some of the concepts depending on how your biochemistry is, but he will explain to you exactly what you're doing with your detox. And when you're toxic, you know you're toxic. You know, if you're in a dental office, your office has a level of mercury in the air. My office has it. I rented the Mercury 3000. My level is probably way lower than any conventional, but you can't get rid of it. We're just starting to look at it. We're doing all this smart stuff. I think it was Joe. Just started to do some sweeping on the floor and checking to see how much is getting on the floor. That's one of our sources of constant release. Last night I talked to a gal that unfortunately she couldn't come today, but she thought she had a clean office, but she has no windows. I said, well, where's your vacuum? Well, the vacuum is in the closet. Well, where's the pipe that pumps it outside? Her vacuum runs in the office, in a closed building. There was no way to get it outside, and it releases the vapor back into the room. Her office, I'm sure, is off the charts with mercury vapor. No matter whether you wash your instruments off, when you put them in the ultrasound, vapor pours out. I got my machine, I wanted to see it for myself. The vapor is pouring out of your ultrasound. Then you move it into the autoclave, and oh my God, it's all coming out.
So you went to a Jerome Mercury analyzer?
No, I use the Mercury 3000. The Jerome is the Mercury 3000.
3,000, we're gonna get that.
Well, you can lease them. It costs you about $1,000 per week. Okay, we have one in the academy, so that you can get on the list, and for the cost of shipping, you can use the one we have. So
It was a company, or is it just called Mercury?
that's what it's called. You type it in, you'll find it. So, yeah. So I went around and checked my whole protocol. What's going on? You open the garbage can where you throw all of your waste. Mercury pours out. So you're sucking mercury all the time. So you need to think about doing some periodic detox once you finally get clean. So
Yesterday's talk, when you mentioned the new protocol that he was using, and
we used to have it was OSR, and that's oxidative stress reduction. It's a supplement. So when Boyd found that molecule and put it out as a supplement, and we were all using it, it was curing things that you can't even believe. And the FDA quickly came in and said, no, you're going to have to make this a drug. So it's in phase 2 testing. I'm sure that the FDA, the pharmaceutical big pharma, is going to do everything to prevent this from coming as long. If you get it before 21, I'll be surprised.
what is it called?
It's going to be in Europe maybe, they think, next year. But it's awesome detox stuff. No side effects. I did it for about 9 months before. And because we were ground floor, of course, I was nervous about it. Everybody's doing it, so I tried it, so I did it for about 9 months. I felt really, good.
So set chemistry design.
It's a chelator.
It is,
It's a chelator.
but it's not IV, it's a supplement.
It's a supplement. I call it the hand of God. I don't know if I have that.
But you can't buy it now.
No, you can't buy it now. You can. I might take that back. They made it available last year if you have some eagles or owls that are suffering from mercury toxicity, which they have, if you have that, you can get it sent to you to treat the birds or any animal that is, if you're a vet, vets can get it to treat mercury toxicity. So if you know of that, I would say probably there's a lot of sick birds around. We need a lot of this. So that's the only way you can get that now.
What's the name of that you're talking about?
MDNI, it's that's Boyd Haley's supplement that's now going to become a pharmaceutical. And if you guys in the academy, you have the opportunity to invest in this company if you want. Boyd is the most passionate person you'll ever meet. He's the CEO of the company. He said Big Pharma will never own this company, so how much will be your return on your money, who knows, but the value is going to be unbelievable. So I know lots of people that are sending in 10,000 at a time. I know some people that have put in millions, and they expect probably 100 to 1,000 times your money if you want out of it.
Do you know if that's an open thing right now, or the academy will let us know when we can start investing?
No, you can invest. They're looking for it because they're doing this phase 2 trials, and they're moving into some new trials, and they need money. There's a form if you email me or if you contact. It's out there. It goes out to because they asked the people in the academy, we need more investors. There's a form you can fill out, and then you have to get it done in euros or something, and you can invest. You can buy money with company out. And if you have a lot of money, even a little money, I would put it there. Quicksilver, great learning. Okay. Foco is the hottest product for all the biologic dentists. It is very predictable. The fusion product I'm saying was from the Voco company. Voco has been all along with people who have been aware of the BPA, which didn't look like it was a big problem yesterday on the screen anyway. But there's BPA everywhere in the breathing. But the Voco products are, I think, great, and that fusion product has been the latest and the greatest. I would say, and it doesn't show up on the liver test book. So I think that's a good place to be. People always want to know what caused the disease. I will tell you that there's this one called Diamond Crown that advertises. Don't use it. It will cause you lots of headaches.
Why, what's wrong?
It falls out prematurely. I mean, I've been doing composite dentistry for, over 25 years. It's the worst, shortest lasting composite I've ever seen. And I don't care if it's no BPA or whatever, it's junk.
So what are you doing for your crowns?
My crowns, I use Edex. Yeah.
Okay, but they can bring outside colors. Do you like?
I have replaced hundreds and hundreds and maybe
Is
1,000.
it colors?
Third molars, second molars. If they're properly bonded, they will never break.
True that. What do you bond it with?
I use vanadium.
Yes.
I love vanadium.
Are you using
and
V5?
I switched around. You can do Relax without fluoride. They tell me that that's good. I'm sure there's good stuff out there. I just use what has always worked. I learned with skipping around and when you're looking for something where you never have any, in my career, I probably had at the most 5 crowns ever fall off. Why am I looking for another cement?
Okay, that's your cement, but what's your bonding agent?
My bonding agents, for me, I'm total edge, optical, without fluoride. It works beautifully. I have no failures. I have big, huge, crown composite
Do you
things.
use any some products like recycled colors?
I mean, silane is silane, so you buy it wherever you want. I do use use silane, I don't know which one I'm using, some S-bomb or something. I don't know. But it's, I'm sure there's a lot out there. I learned from Bertolotti. Bertolotti was the guy who did the bondedons. And a long time ago, I encourage anybody who's having any problems with composites, take a bonding course. Oh my God, it's like change your life. Now you can move on, be worried about biologic and learning, you know? Yes?
You said you use Panavia. Are you using Panavia V5?
I don't, you know,
Okay.
I research it and then
It's their latest product of the Panavia, so it's like the newest generation.
I might be using it.
But that's a complete system, so I wasn't sure if you're using the whole system where they have the tooth primer and everything. Or
No, I throw the primer away.
Oh.
But I think it works.
Oh yeah.
But I've been doing it this, you know, I'm kind of like retentive. I do it this way. I actually use photo bond. So I use like the second generation bond, and now we're on the 38th generation. And I just put that on there, and then I put it, because it's dual cure, and then I put it on there, and I worry about something else, because it works. If I need an auto cure, then the Vogo Futura bond, it seems to be fine. I trust Vogo. So the Futura bond, they have for some reason on the Clifford, they can't use photo bond, I'll go to Futura bond. So you have to have some alternatives, because sometimes it comes up, so you've got to have like, this is the one I usually use, there's another one. Futura bond, you can do total edge, or you can do no edge. I'm like, oh, etch it, so I don't know if you need to etch it or not, but I do it. But yeah, here, this of course is the big question, right? And so I was in Slovenia. Damir here has started the IAOMT of Europe, the Euro Doctors of Europe, and so I was there for lecturing, and in there I saw the world's only researcher, I think, or one of the top, certainly the most prolific, Dr. Lexner, who researches cavitations and root canal infections. And the latest research is very, very alarming. So I put a couple of slides of his here, because when I left there, I decided every one of my patients was at least going to get a thermogram to see. Okay, this is a book that my patient brought me. This, people want to know, why do we know nothing about these cavitation lesions or root canal problems? This is a dissertation that was done by this PhD while he was in school, and he took it upon himself to look at the original Rosenau and Billings studies that they did for 40 years, showing growing bacteria from root canals, from failed root canals in culture, and then injecting it into rabbits, and seeing the same diseases of the person that came in. It sounds crazy. I thought it was crazy. I can't imagine that, in 1920 this was really working, but it was consistent. They did it for 40 years. But this book shows how did they squash the information, step by step, how the ADA, the AMA is fascinating. How they manipulated the data, and then from that point forward, they never again referred to the Rosenau studies. They started going to this Hoffman who manipulated the data, and that was the end of it. So that's why we don't have the information. It's purposely scanned away at the beginning. Now, the sheep are just winding up and repeating what they're told. But that's an interesting, that is an interesting, there again, it's just a bunch of names. It's like this person did that, in 1942 this person, in 1948 this person, and these were the respected people in dentistry, and it shows you how it was, we were misled. So if you have interest in that, I find that very interesting. This is our researcher, Johan Lechler. This is in us in lead. He's a great guy and fascinating person to talk with. If you speak German, it would be much better for you to communicate with him, but he's pretty good English. This is what he studies. He studies Rontes. And Rontes, you know, is this is a cytokine. We've seen him in the academy. He came and spoke maybe 5 years ago. In his lecture, he got up there and he was talking about the whole lecture was finding Rontes in here, you know. And then after about a half an hour, everybody's talking to him. What the hell is Rontes? You know, he never told us. So and finally, we asked at the end. It's a cytokine, and it's an inflammatory cytokine. And what you will find is that it is, cytokines are signaling molecules. And so in these lesions, he's finding Rontes in all of the lesions. And he's finding them in very concentrated forms. And it has a wide range of problems that it can cause. This is, the pharmaceutical companies have such interest in it. This is the number of studies that are done on Rontes in each of these situations. And it's found in allergy, cancer, arthritis. This is Rontes. This is the number of studies. At the top, in jawbone necrosis, there is 32 studies and 16 of them are lectures. That's all the studies that are. But now he's been quantitating. So that's this latest lecture he was showing us how much Rontes is here. So this one he talks about what the characteristic of the jawbone necrosis is. He says it's like fatty. People often say there's like fatty stuff in there. It's cookie. I don't like to do it. I should do it when I send it to my surgeon. But everyone should have either a surgeon doing it for them, or they need to be doing it themselves. You need to be looking into this if you're not aware of it, because you saw a range of problems that it's causing. So, this is maybe more than we need to talk about, but this is kind of the mechanism of action for Rontes. Here is a thermogram of a jawbone necrosis lesion. Hey, thank you for coming. All right, have a good trip home then. So I have this idea that I'm having all of my patients do a thermogram because they can order it themselves. And women use it for their breasts, but now we can also look at head and neck. And you can, the people that don't even believe that, you know, most of what you say, they have Cheerios for breakfast. And you see on the x-ray something like in their old wisdom tooth site, and it's like, yeah, I know there's something there. Get a thermogram, and you'll see it. This one was like, you can see it going all the way to the breast. So that's what probably a root canal. So thermogram is a thing that your patient can order for themselves, and you can show them that they have it. The state of the art, of course, for the surgery and for doing the diagnosis that make the ADA happy is coding, so that you can look at the height, what's they call the units, the Hounsfeld units. And if you have seen the density of the bone, you put the dot on the bone and it goes to negative, you know there's a cavation there. So you can use this very beautifully to show that there is a hole in the bone. That's one of the lesions, kind of what it looks like, you know, and I don't want to look at that every day, so I don't do it. But when you open them up, it's like sometimes the hole is, you can't really predict it with what tools we have right now. My biggest one of my patients, we knew that it was radiographic evidence, it went all the way up the Reapers of the Man. The whole thing was just goop.
And this is from,
No, it's from extraction of a wisdom tooth 35 years ago.
okay, they love the PDL.
That's the theory.
Yeah.
It's a PDL, maybe. Is it some bacteria that found colonization there? Probably. It's also probably a combination of the healing ability of the host. So if you can't heal very well, the drugs are living there, and they don't cause pain. Unless you have legal lesion, they don't have pain. One thing that we use to treat it is ozone. We're setting up, I'm helping set up a study because we don't have any really good studies. Do you use just surgery? Do you use just ozone? Or do you use surgery and ozone? And so we're trying to start this thing behind the scenes and make this big scope study. So it's going to take many years. But ozone looks to be necessary to really successfully eradicate the lesion. So you might think about being ozone certified if you are going to get into cavitation treatment. On social media, they know about it. If you're not putting ozone in there, you're not a real doctor.
So, what technique do you currently utilize yourself?
For us, we go through all of that thermogram, first thermogram, then a cone beam. Then a surgeon does the blank surgery, and then they come to me. I'm usually on that day, I'm within 2 days, and I inject ozone gas into that area, concentrated 20 micrograms per milliliter. And then I also give them ear insufflation for 10 minutes, and a nasal insufflation for a half hour. So they get a full head ozone treatment. And then I do that for 4 to 6 times after surgery. So that's part of the plan, treatment plan going in, eradication of the lesion, or in a root canal extraction case, the same thing. So we're injecting ozone gas into the site because they're having this recurrence rate. We're trying to lower it. We also some doctors use IV vitamin C. I have my patients taking high dose vitamin C from PERC, over L-ascorbate, and you can take it in high doses so that your levels of C are up. You want to give them probably some D3, K2, and make sure that they have their multi-minerals. Give them the best health that they can. Before we ever have the surgery, all the metal comes out of their mouth. The mouth is clean before the surgery, if possible, so that the environment is right for healing. So that when you're going to do this surgery, get the metal out, including the mercury, including the toxic ground metal, all of the galvanic stuff that's going on in there, you want it gone. If you want the most success is all of those things. We're trying to there's an argument that the ozone people want to do just ozone. And I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not saying it doesn't work. We're going to try to put the study together.
You were talking about getting metal first. How much was it here?
Yeah.
You used to sequentially take it out.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman, I think it was Dr. Cook, that made a device like that. Do you believe that? Or they should be taking that sequentially?
Well, I mean, it's theoretically interesting. If you want to do it, that's fine. But that was one of Hal Huggins' I declare this science things. We have no science on it.
What was the question?
Hal Huggins had declared that you need to measure the galvanic currents on all of the teeth, and you take the highest reading first. You have to take that area out first. You never cross the midline. You always take that out. Then you have to wait 21 days before you do it again. This is Hal Huggins' science. He had reasons to say this. We have no science to back it up. I don't subscribe to it, but if you want to, it doesn't hurt anything. Certainly the galvanic is a huge problem. You know, you have two different metals. I mean, the worst is where you have a gold crown with mercury next to it, or you mercury underneath it. Slowly but surely, the whole thing disintegrates inside. It's because the current is flowing right here next to an organ that runs on current. One of them, these people, they get better, they get sick, they get better. Sometimes I'm sure that it's this mouthful of metal bridges and things that are causing this current. Then throw in a microwave or something, I don't know, you know. I always ask, when I look at patients, my big joke is, you know, do you ever hear anything coming in from Russia? Yeah, exactly. I said, you and Palin, right? You guys are, this is what the problem is. Your mouth is like an antenna. So, you know, that's it in a nutshell. That's really all I prepared to kind of get you guys thinking and talking, and let's talk about what you saw this weekend. And I was hoping you would bring me any kind of, if you have a question, you wrote something down, I'm glad to pick it up and read it. But you know, it's a process. I will tell you that the entire thing is you might not buy into the cavitation problem right now. But when I saw the lecture and you saw the cavitation information, I came back and all my patients, every single one at the hygiene visit, we talk about your old wisdom tooth sites. I go back and look now, and it's very hard to see it. They go get it's $100 to $150, depending on where you go. Get a head and neck. Start the conversation. Get a head and neck thermometer. You can order it. They like that. You can order it. You get your insurance doesn't pay for it, but it's $100. I said, this can, if you have, what do you have in your family is always my other question. Do you have cancer? You have breast cancer? Do you have thyroid problems? Do you have autoimmune? Do you have heart disease? Every one of them, any of them. You have arthritis. You know, my family has anxiety. Every one of them has been linked to these lesions. So after maybe they're not taking their metal out. I think this is just as important as any metal coming out. I mean, if they have an infection, you can show it. Some people, they want to do this. And then they get the surgery and then they go, maybe I should get the metal out. I'm like, done. You know, thank you for that moment. You know? So I don't push it. I just let them, I give them the information, I send it to them. And some people don't. So once in a while somebody leaves me. Yes.
So I do that with calculation several times. I actually very recently learned from my assistant. There's only calculation that I do is two, but it's just in my own. So I don't know, I was just asking exactly what does that mean. Is it the distraction with bone structure as a result of the blue canal or prior to the condition prior to?
Well, first, I'm in this run called cavitation to read the board of dentistry would like me to call it osteonecrotic lesion.
Okay.
It's a lesion in the bone that's not healed. So it can be associated with root canal, or it can be associated with old extraction site, or the real, like, eerie part of it is sometimes we're seeing it behind the third molar, the fourth molar space, where there's no tooth, nothing's ever been done back there, but especially in the maxilla, we sometimes are finding active cavitation in the jawbone. It's susceptible. The blood flow is low. You saw it in this slide, in the PRF slide. There's very low blood flow up here by the sinus, and we think that these things can grow here. So what is the reason? Why does it not happen? It usually happens in an extraction site or a root canal. So let's say an extraction site, one theory, somebody didn't scrape out the ligament. Your body sees the ligament, thinks there's something there, and it forms a hole around it, right? The other idea is that you use epinephrine, it closes down the blood vessels, things could not heal properly, it formed a hole and the bug stayed there. And we don't know. It's all theory, but it's there. And there's goop in there. And there's tons of anaerobes in there. They have, some people are looking at the type of bacteria that are there. Lechner is looking at the cytokines that are being produced as a reaction to that being there. So, and the implication of the cytokines acting everywhere explains what I did say. What he showed was very interesting, was Rontes goes sky high. But interleukin 5 and 6 are other tumors. He's looking at about 10 cytokines because it's cost a lot of money to do the research. So he picked 10. Well, the 5 and 6, I think it's the 5, goes to 0. So you see that in all these lesions he's checking. Rontes here, 5 goes here. 5 is the one with the singular for pain. Pain goes to 0. Rontes goes to the roof. Totally explains why. Why don't they hurt? It's because the actual reaction is causing the cytokine to go to 0. So it's fascinating what he has now with this quantitative measurement of the stuff. So that is how it forms. All right. Most often, you can take. Hearing from these guys now, they might numb their patient up. You can take a curette or a heavy needle, and you can just poke through the gum or the edentulous area, and it'll pop right through. The bone is like mush. And then when you open it up, it can go all the way down to the mandibular. It can go all the way to the sides. And the root canal, how does it get there? You know how it gets there. You know? So, the root canals, no more root canals for me. I mean, I came from a place where if you don't want to get a root canal, there's a dentist down the street that will take care of it. Now, I say, if you want a root canal, you can go down there and get it. You know, because I'm not going to do it. I would never have it in my mouth. I don't care if I had to walk around without my front tooth. I would go without my front tooth. I would not have it. It's a total huge burden in my mind. If you want one, my child is in college. Please go have one because I need the money. Thermogram, yeah.
So you purchased a thermogram?
No, I did not. To become the equipment is fairly costly, not real, but you got to buy a camera. Then you got to have a perfect room with no windows. Then you have to have the temperature control perfect. The good part, the patient has to get naked. Get naked. So no, there are thermographers in my area, and I think like in LA there are thermographers offices. You can walk in and get one. But in my area, they travel around to different offices and they say, okay, on this day of the month, I'll be in Amherst here. On that day, I'll be in Springfield over there. And they can do it for you. Then, along with the picture, it comes a doctor's report, who is a thermographic doctor. Okay, the thermographic doctor, in order to become, I said, oh, I could be one of those. $20,000, 1 year training. Sorry, I don't have time for it. But, I take the report. They're not very good at, it's a general thing. It's only like in this area, it might need some kind of infection in the jawbone. They always think periodontitis. You have to become active and learn about what you're looking at. There's a root canal here. We have this thing here. I'm highly suspicious that it might be cavitations here. Let's get a cone beam. That, now the patient's ready to say, okay, I'll go get the cone beam. Then we get the cone beam. Yeah, we have negative reading. Yeah, you got holes in your bone. And it's going to be, it's not good. So then we go through the whole thing. So that's kind of how we get them there.
If the patient is calling for implants, is it available? Would you still go through mammography or no? I'm
putting together this study. And my study is going to be thermogram, then cone beam, then all the treatment, then 1 to 2 years later, thermogram. Make sure there's nothing here anymore.
And what was your scenario where the condition is actually the temperature is lower?
The temperature is higher, yeah, because your body, yeah, because of the infection. It might be very low grade, and they can sense it's very half a degree from 1 millimeter to the next, and it can sense very mild. You have to help to read into it, and if it's always symmetry. If one has a little something here, and this one, then this doesn't, you know there's something here. Now, sometimes I might go in and say, you might have a dead tooth over here that I can't tell, or you got your wisdom tooth out here, that's probably got it. And now you've done all you can, and usually that's enough. The patient wants to go get the cone beam. Then you can get the cone beam. But in the end, it's very hard after you do surgery to see that now this lesion on the cone beam, the density might be plus 120, plus 200, not really solid, but okay. So for me, the final word is thermogram, make sure there's nothing happening. Cone beam, yes, for confirmation. Final confirmation, no more infection. I just talked to a new member who we have, who's an endodontist, and he has a new method of doing endodontics using this sealing for sealing perfs. He uses it in his root canals to do the entire root canal. He swears that he's getting huge success, and he's agreed to maybe we're going to do a study and look at thermogram. Sure, we'll look at cone beam on the root canal, we'll look at thermogram. Maybe I change my mind someday. He's showing a method that seems to be okay with the body, but that's brand new. I just, that was 3 wines, and we were there. So, but that's kind of, this is a very important thing that offices are not thinking about is this cavitation. It's a scary thing. I will tell you on social media, it's big time out there, and there are not a lot of surgeons that are willing to do it, or at least willing to admit that they do it. But it's now, we have all of this evidence. The ADA quit bothering us because they know that it's real. So now there are more and more people. For me, I'm a little whippy. I should do it. My surgeon tolerates my control freak, No, you don't use that. No, you don't, you're putting that. And he's been good. He's been to a couple of our meetings. He's got over the hump. It's tough for surgeons because think of it, you're the only biologic guy they got. You want them to put in the zirconium implant for you. Nobody else is doing it. You want them to do these cavitation surgeries for you. Nobody else is recognizing it. All the conventional guys, they're busy having a party. And so this is it's the most important thing that I have found this year, and I found it in Europe at at our meeting. Our next meeting is in Germany in May. It's going to lectures actually sponsoring the meeting. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome meeting, and it's going to be, you're going to learn about the latest and the greatest in cavitation research. Now the meeting is going to be there. Maybe I'll be there talking about the SMART program, which I lectured last time. It's the IAOMT Doctors of Europe. And like I say, the beer is the one who started it in Slovenia, and now Lechner got excited and he's going to host the next one. We also have IAOMT UK branch. They have their own little thing going. Those guys are now going to do SMART finally, and this week I talked to the guys that teach their fundamentals course, and they're finally going to guess how to do it. So, but they are talking, maybe they're going to all become one. And you know, it takes time, like everything. Like it takes time, sometimes people will buy part of the smart equipment, they can't get certified, because, I don't think you need that mask, or, you know, when I started, I didn't wear that mask. We had a hard time wearing the mask, so, then now it's like, I would even think of even starting with mask.
Are we all smart certified yet, all of us?
I don't know what to do, but I can't remember, I started it, and it was something I have to do, either come to the meeting, or I can't remember what is the thing that I need.
You have to buy the equipment, you have to take the modules, then, and then you pay the $50, maybe you didn't have
So the equipment lists are there?
Yeah,
Was it-
the lists are there, and options on each one, you can click, and it will say, here, if you don't like that napkin, use this one, if you don't like that one.
I have two questions. First, I feel like I always say IAOMT very carefully, but I feel like everyone says something shorter than that. Is there a nickname like IAOMT or?
I call it IMET.
I feel like all the veterans.
Toxicology Academy. I always love to call the main office, and they go IAOMT, and then I say, you know, A, B, C, D.
Like, are people shortening to IAOMT or?
That's it, David. This is, you know, we've talked about changing it. It's a Toxicology Academy.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm saying IAOMT.
It is. It's a dance. IAOMT. We have that. It's, you know, the name itself is confusing. It took time to even learn that. But I think that it really impresses the importance that it's described. So I call it the Academy, or I call it the Toxicology Academy, or I call it IMAT, just for simple to my office. But when I say it to my patients, I say IAOMT.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll dance for them.
Right.
And they say, okay, enough. I'm sorry I asked that question. But, you know.
Well, then my second question, so I'm a newcomer into the meetings, the slideshows, and the slides went really fast. So I need to go back and slow down the brain and like really understand it all. So meanwhile, my friends that are with me on this trip, one of them is a toxicologist, and I come back in lectures and say, oh my goodness, like, talking about the mercury, and she was really skeptical, just saying things like, well, wait, no, that's not true. Like, the only kind of mercury that's toxic is like or
Fish, methyl.
either methyl or ethyl. So amalgams are methyl or ethyl?
No, amalgam gas is the mercury atom.
And then, because I was trying
And
to
it's
color
methyl.
it's in your lungs and then it converts and then something.
You're right, yeah,
It's
totally.
like, so when someone puts me on the spot like that and they're saying, no, that's like, what do I say? So
It's hard, okay? It's very hard. And to learn it, you have to learn the speciation of mercury. It can be ethyl, it can be methyl, it can be atomic. And so the atomic, which is the vapor,
okay,
is lipid soluble.
okay,
So the stuff that comes off of your teeth
yes.
it walks through membranes like they're not there.
Uh-huh.
All
So
right?
you breathe it into the lungs.
Yeah, and 80% of what goes into the
It
lungs,
passes the blood-brain barrier.
it goes into your lungs. Your 80% is absorbed through your lungs and goes into your blood. So your blood level is raised. Which they showed yesterday. Your blood levels are actually directly correlated to the number of fillings that are in your mouth. Duh!
So it's atomic mercury.
Duh! That's what you look at it. Keep saying duh. Okay, and then once it's in your blood, there can be reactions where they can actually the atoms can become methylated. You have methylation going on in your body.
Okay.
That's the toxic stuff, you know. It's all toxic. Mercury is the second most toxic element in the periodic table, period. And then you saw if you have any other metals exposure, aluminum, which is very prevalent in our environment, it's hugely worse.
So is there a simple way to say how it's methylated in our brain? Like,
It's not, it's the bacteria.
okay.
There's
Does it
one
ever-
methylation,
it's-
other methylation is the DNA methylation that's disturbed by the effects of the elemental.
So is that
Once
an
the
anaerobic
elemental
process
comes
in
in,
the brain?
yeah, once the elemental comes in, it makes on so many levels. You know, it disrupts the enzymes, protein synthesis. You know, it works on so many levels that it's difficult to explain it in one sentence.
Yeah.
So it's elemental mercury toxicity actually. Then it gets methylated and it works, but it can get demethylated. For instance, if you eat fish that already have bound mercury, your gut bacteria turns it into an elemental, and then it goes everywhere.
Yeah, we have bacteria. If you swallow it, we have bacteria that will methylate if you swallow it. But and don't say God, just be.
Yeah.
You're trying to.
That's why dam is mandatory. That's why rubber damming is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just they swallow those fillings and shavings, and it goes.
Yeah, and the problem is the particulate, not the vapor. If you're doing it without smart and you're getting all this particulate into your intestines, they think it's lodged in your villi for who knows how long. It's into your lung tissue, it drops into the bottom of your lungs, and it never comes out. So you have particulate there that's now you've increased the surface area because when you drill it, big chunk of mercury into 1 million pieces, oh my God, its surface area just increased by thousands and thousands, and now it's in your lungs. So it's there, and then the whole bottom line is bioaccumulation. The half-life of the mercury that's coming out of your filling, took a breath, I got just, oh, it's just a little bit, the AA says, okay, I won't worry about it. But wait a minute, I took another breath. And the half-life for it to come back out is 20 years, depending on the tissue, 10 to 30 years, they say. So once you get it in, and it's in there, each breath, each chewing, everything is compounding, the glass is filling. And that's the mercury story. And that's why you have, oh, I've had these fillings for 40 years, it can't be that. No, it is that because you have it for 40 years, the cup's full. And I can now, like what he mentioned, the way that it works in your body is that one little atom of mercury attaches to sulfur groups. And they, what your body made out of is protein, and it hits the sulfur groups, and now your body sees that as foreign. It can attack it, so this is how you can get autoimmune stuff from mercury, or it can make an enzyme dysfunctional because now it doesn't fit that keyhole anymore. It's all like becomes very obvious when you understand chemistry. You look at it, and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, duh. You know, because I was so dumb for all those years and misbelieving like your friend. And I say now, I say, you know, I feel sorry for you. I study this. You know, my family thinks I'm like a nerd because all I do is study this stuff. And you know, if I have a problem with my car, I ask my mechanic. I don't go and tell him that, you know, how to fix it. I go and ask him how he's doing it. And I say, I'm here. If you want to ask, I will explain. If you want to tell me some dogma that you heard from the television set or from your dentist who is repeating the dogma on the ADA, you're a different planet. I got new friends now. I don't have the same friends that I used to. Because I tell you, as you learn, suddenly you can't even converse with these people. They want to attack you. They want to label you. Believe me, you're good, man. You're learning the truth. So have confidence in your life. Have confidence and don't worry about it. Because as we learn the truth, I mean, don't get attitude. Help. Try to help, and once in a while, 1 out of 50, they listen and wow, and you change their life. You know, and that for me is everything. You know, to help change somebody's life. Well, you know, my friends, I have a group of friends that I hang with on Fridays who totally make fun of me because I'm organic and everything. And I reserve the right to jog to the hospital when they're in the hospital and spit on them when they're in bed. They're 85, you know. And so they agree with that. So I said, okay, you can say what you want, but guess what? All of a sudden my friend tells me, it's like, man, he goes, I can't get out of bed, my knees are killing me. And I laugh and I'm like, oh yeah, did you have some of that Campbell's beans last night, you know? And I said, he's got a low mercury. I go, you got mercury, dude. And this is when we had the OSR. And I said, you're toxic. And I said, you're sneezed. He goes, okay, what do I do? I said, well, you need to take your mercury out. I said, here, take this OSR. He took the OSR I gave him 2 months, I think. Right? And I kind of forgot about it, and he's not really talking. And then finally, on one time, I was saying, maybe 6 weeks later, I said to Murphy, I'm like, hey, what's going on with the knees? He goes, gone. He goes, the knees are good. He goes, but you know what's weird? He goes, I have had bad back for over 10 years. Old football injury. He says, it's gone. I said, of course. It's all mercury. Back injury, the old football injury that won't go away. It's because you're toxic. You suffer repair deficit. The mercury is binding to the mitochondria. The mitochondria, you can't heal the lesions. Back pain almost always goes away when you detox. Jaw pain, one more thing when I'm thinking about it. You get a jaw click, it's always a cavitation. A jaw click is what we're seeing now when we don't do that. A jaw click will be always say, oh, the disc, and start adjusting the occlusion. What we're finding out is when we're working on the lesions, oh, the jaw click went away. Kids will say, ever since I had my wisdom teeth, the jaw has been clicking. Oh yeah, they must have yanked your mouth open. No, it never healed. You have a cavitation. And it's amazing they're doing cavitation on root canal and the jaw click goes away. You can never guarantee it, but I'm going to tell you, I see it all the time, and I know that it's going on, and I might haven't mentioned it, and if they calls me and asks me if I said that, I didn't say it! So, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm like, I'm a gambling man, I'll bet you right now, it's going away. And it goes away. Back pain goes away. You're healed, man. You're healed.
So going back to the mercury detox part of it, I feel like during the question and answer we did yesterday, there wasn't really consensus about how to effectively detox mercury because of the effectiveness of different chelating or detoxifying agents that are used. What are your thoughts on kind of the best way to detox? And do you do it in your office, or do you have somebody that you refer to manage that part of it?
Well, I originally came to the academy like so many toxic. Then I learned about liposomal glutathione. So that's what I used. There's big controversies that the DMSA and DMPS, it can't be used. It's aggressive. It can also cause forced excretion and can cause some damage on taking it out. So I'm not a fan. Maybe, certainly in an acute situation where you need to do something, you might use that. For people who are chronically toxic with heavy metals, there's nothing better than your body to get it out. It's just overwhelmed. So glutathione is what your body uses. So I supplement using liposomal glutathione. So that came along with Dr. Jaffe, who's not here, who's one of the smartest people. I would say you could measure their intelligence by the number of initials after their name. You need like another page for this guy. So he's a very brilliant guy. He has a company, the PERC company. He owns that Melissa Act company, and he uses vitamins pure buffered L-ascorbate. I use that. So I was doing this high dose of C in the pure form, and I was using that. I got rid of all toxins. I purify my water. I don't care if you live on the top of the Rocky Mountains. It's China, of course, sends all the pollution. We don't have any here, but it's all coming down on us over here. And your water has pollutants, so I tell everybody reverse osmosis, put some Himalayan sea salt in it. That's part of your detox. Fill up a couple of jugs to make sure you drink it by the end of the day. So quicksilver is a glutathione-based system. That is up-regulating your system. This is only supplements. There's nothing foreign here. So for my patients, I tell my story. I have a list of how I did it, and I tell them that I cannot guide you in detox because I'm just a dentist, but I can tell you what I did, and here's where you could buy the products, and by the way, put that number in there, and you'll be able to get this stuff, or you can buy it directly, you can buy anything on Amazon, eBay, but you don't want to buy your supplements from Amazon because they sit in the warehouse and they can deteriorate. So I do provide them. I used to have it all in my office, and January 1st of this year, I declared we're done. I started to look like a pharmacy in there. I had so much stuff, and so now I have them with the links to the Mountain Farm people aren't here. That's one place you can get this stuff, and they will give you a number. You can give it to your patients, and you can tell them these are the things you use. Or if you want to go easy, just send them to Quicksilver, buy the box. It's a detox box. You need to do it for at least a year. And it's not 6 weeks, it's a year. And for a dentist, it's forever. And for me, I felt better in 3 months. I thought, wow. And then it starts slow, you don't start full dose. In 3 months, I was wow. At 6 months, I thought I was healed. At 9 months, I thought I was the Mad Hatter in 6 months. At a year, I still couldn't believe it. And 2.5 years of noticeable things that went away in my body. And that was all, you're using the natural method. You're using glutathione, it's slow and easy. Your body can handle it. You can drink the whole bottle of glutathione if you want, but I can only take a drop. When I started, I took a teaspoon. I felt like I just stole my mother's diet pill. I was fine, you know, but not that I ever did that before. But anyway, I took a drop for once, and then I took 2 drops, and then I was getting so excited about it, I was doing it twice a day. And now I still don't need to take a full dose. I mean, if I was out till 2 in the morning hurting, and I had to get up and go mow the lawn, I might take a full dose because, man, you feel good now, you know, the glutathione's back. So, yeah, I mean, the glutathione to me is like a no-brainer. It's big controversy. There's nobody who
Is there a sense of the chlorella issue?
The chlorella?
Yeah, because holistic practitioners would recommend chlorella, but it can give kind of several side effects and may not be so clean and not be so effective as.
This is, you know, this is another thing. A lot of natural fats. They have chlorella, clay,
Cilantro, Verdol.
cilantro. Yeah, so herbs are powerful, and these things do. Chlorella is not absorbed into your body, so it will help to clean your intestines. The Quicksilver, I use IAOMT. It's a sand particle that's not absorbed. It's sulfur groups. And it grabs everything that is excreted into your stomach, so it's not into your intestines, so it's not resorbed. So IMD is part of my protocol. Now they have a new one. It's a mixture of, I think, chlorella, clay, and shade, because everybody's using all this stuff. And he shows, if you watch his video, chlorella is good for like mold. Clay is good for something, you know. And so he's got this new super absorb. It doesn't go in you, it goes through you, and it grabs everything and it cleans it out. That's key. Also, your detox will go better if you are using this kind of attachment thing in your gut. And the chlorella, yes, you cannot just detox using chlorella, and but it does have a function. But you also, Mike Adams tested chlorella, and it can be bringing metals into the body. Depending on where the chlorella comes from, it can be very chlorella. Same thing. We don't know about the clay. The clay we know has mercury on it and different arsenic and things on it, but it looks like it doesn't get released from it. So I don't use that stuff. I try to keep it as simple as possible for me. You have to decide for yourself. And for the people that have any kind of complicated case, I send it to my naturopath. You know, and he knows that I want the glutathione stuff. He's all down with the whole thing. He might have some variations. He uses lots of food to go with it. Whatever. You know, you got to find somebody that you can hand it off to. Unless you want to do that part of it, then do it. Don't be afraid. But remember, you know, don't make promises. You know, your back pains go away. You know, I know that was a problem. I had a person who has this twitch and this bump on their eye. They have an infected root canal. That's the new patient just before I came. I said, that eye is coming from that root canal. They looked at me and they're like, come on, I went to the neurologist, I've been to an ophthalmologist. No one ever said that to me. I said, I didn't say it either.
So the patient comes to you, they're toxic, they have mercury. Do you, obviously you want to remove them. Do you put them on any regimen, any specific amount of time before you remove the mercury? Or you just say, hey, let's get these out, you start on this. Is there a certain date that you say, oh, I need you to be on this for like a month to detoxify a little bit so that you're not getting really sick from this? It obviously depends on the patient and the immune system, so I get that there are really some sick puppies out there.
Yes.
And so, but I just want to know overall.
In general, in a healthy patient, and they want their mercury out, which is when most people are coming to me.
Yeah.
If they're excreting, I find if they're excreting okay. And hey, Jim, let me know when it's up. I know we got to catch a plane.
Okay.
If they're excreting okay, they get my protocol, and I say minimally you should be taking liposomal glutathione. And I would take it for at least a few days before. It's better for a week before. Some people say 2 weeks. They make this stuff up and then they pass it around on the internet, and it's gospel. Come on. You take a bunch of vitamin C, within a couple of days you get to the level where you're going to be, and that's it, you know? So I give them the protocol. I say, most people that come to me, they do this. This is what I did to detox. I want your levels up so that anything that I miss, I know you think I'm a god. Sometimes stuff can get in, and I want you to be prepared, and that's how I did it. And I give them the access to it, and then I suggest that at least a few days, if not a week, before you should take it. I have it in the office. They forget to do it. Oh my God! Lift your tongue up, hold it in your mouth as long as you can. Now you have some already in the blood flow right here in the jaw. It's going to be in your system, and by the time you get the mercury out of the tooth and the composite in there, you did some good there, and then I'm fine with that. I've done it. If you're using the same protocol, it's like very minimal, if any, that they're getting. You know, we're not perfect. And so, you should, but if they have complicated history, and it's certainly excretion, be aware that you need to get somebody involved that can get their excretion going.
And the vitamin C that you were talking about, I know you were talking about high dose vitamin C.
Yeah.
And then obviously they're going to have some bowel issue runs and whatnot, so you back off from that. Can you just tell me how do you go about doing that? Like, how much vitamin C do you take at once or every hour or what?
So PERC, the company, the PERQE, has pure buffered L ascorbate. When you buy ascorbate, it's half L and half D. Laboratory, dextrorotary. Your body only uses L. So if the capsule says I can't take vitamin C, I get diarrhea because you're getting a mixture. So you buy the pure. Then on their website they have the method of figuring out what your tolerance is. So you sit there when you have about a half a day and you start taking tablespoons of this stuff until you run to the bathroom for about 3 hours. So that will tell you, like I tolerate about 11,000 milligrams. People who have cancer, who are very sick, I have patients who have taken 60,000 milligrams before they flush. I have heard of people well over 100,000 milligrams before they flush. Their body is absorbing all of it. So then, once you get your flush level, you take 75% of that level, and that should be your daily dose to keep your body flush with absorbing. Okay, 75% of your flush value is your daily dose. Ideally, you should be taking it away from food because it can increase iron absorption. So ideally, you should take that dose divided throughout the day. I'm too crazy busy. I just drink it all day. You should be. It'd be better if you had it mid-morning, mid-afternoon, and now you're just keeping. You know it is in the half-life in your blood. You're trying to keep the level up. It's the idea is to keep everything going and the C levels up.
So before the flush happens, how often are you spooning this in to figure out? Is it every?
It tells you every so many minutes you take another teaspoon. You know, it tells you exactly. There's a protocol. And then if you don't flush by this amount, you double it, and then if you're not, you know. But I don't say too much about the cancer thing. But when they tell me like, oh, I didn't flush until I had 50,000 milligrams, I know, man, they're sick. You know, they got problems.
And in our office, we have the liposphere vitamin C.
Yep.
How does that differ from the over? Okay, it's the same thing.
If it's vitamin C, number one, you can't do the flush. You can't do maximum. You can't attain maximum level because it's a combination of D and L. The liposome goes in quick, and there's some arguments that it goes into differently and that it's good. I don't know if it's better or not. This is how I did it. This is what worked for me. It makes sense to me. Pure in the form from algae in the United States. I know it's good. I use it. Over 95% of all vitamin C in the United States comes from China. I don't care what company you buy it from, they get it from China. You make your choice. I don't do it. I don't go there. I have picked up the phone on a couple of occasions and called the company and said, where do you source your vitamin C? Well, it's always this. Well, we can't. I can give you a list of countries where we get it from, and I don't know because it's availability. It's France, we get it from Germany, we get it from Croatia. Oh, China. But, okay, sir, is that all you need? And it's all coming from China, you know? And I fear the contamination, so I try to stick with the part. But I know that the liposomes are the best way to deliver. Quicksilver, he has his own. He gets his from France, his vitamin C. I trust Chris Shade. So if I was going to vary from I'm not afraid to take his. I use his vitamin C. I bought it and then I discontinued, so I got it. So now I use it on my face. Because he uses 100 nanogram myceles. His liposomes are very small, smaller than 100. And so you wash your face dry, then you rub the vitamin C on, and it actually, ALA, and it actually increases your collagen. And physically, chemically, that's me, I'm a chemist guy. And then maybe 10 minutes later, you take a hot rag and further make it absorb, and then you wipe it off. That's why I look like 15. 185.
Just add some PRF and you're
What's that?
Just add some PRF and then you're.
Exactly. You start drinking some of that, or you do something about this here and there here. No, I don't know. I like the idea of using it for the cosmetics, so I put some on my face. I would also take it, in the morning, it's early, I was up last night, okay, put some here, those products I trust. You have to investigate it, and you have to go on. You know, I can't, people come to me with this list, I have these vitamins, I don't know, most of them are junk, and I say, oh, well, that looks like junk to me, but you know, if you want an evaluation, if I have time, I'll look it up for you. Sometimes I've called the company. I said, just call the company and ask them. There's always vitamin C, but ask them where it comes from. It always comes from China. Orthodontics. Well, you find in the crowd that we get, they generally, because of Western price and what have you, and all of that belief of those when you grew, your teeth grew in a certain way, they don't want them. So I used to do a lot of Invisalign. People generally aren't requesting it in my office anymore. So as far as like the meridians and how things line up and all of that, it's all interesting. I think because there's not a lot of requests for it.
You have to come to the annual meeting. There's going to be Professor John New, and he's going to hold a talk about this subject, how to develop your
orthotropics.
Yeah, so there is some information, but it's not, the type of patients we get, they don't care about how they look.
So the academy is more focused on mercury, fluoride, cavitations. What you presented here, not the wider scope of ortho, but you're saying this fellow.
But that's the toxicology and oral medicine, and you're seeing this. Both parts are equally distributed, and there are so many fields you can go into. But the point of the academy is to be scientific, so it's hard to produce some, or it's time to we see where the problem is. He's going to set up a study, it's going to take at least 2 years to get the results to have scientific proof, and so he can present it here. So that's the point of the IAOMT, of the different holistic organizations that are being holistic. The IAOMT is supposed to be, or is the top of the pyramid regarding science, and we're trying to bring this science into regular medicine and dentistry.
Because see, I have a lot of natural clients in my practice. They're all wearing night guards, acrylic night guards from their dentists, or Invisalign, and I'm like, it's all acrylic.
Well,
that's poison to your body.
You can get a Flexite guard if the dentist can order you a clean nylon type guard made on Flexite.
So there
You can't get EPA-free guards, but they all, your dentist don't order.
No, I've never seen
Yeah, but
You could educate them on it. You can say request a Flexite guard. Yes, and use it and get a Flexite retainer for your teeth after your ortho. And the Invisalign trays, those are a problem in themselves. Is the EPA a problem? Maybe not.
You can also suggest ELISA testing, Clifford test to see if their acrylic is actually provoking communication or not. So
yes, Clifford will tell you if they're actually reacting to that plastic. The other question being, are the monomers or the things that are being given off? It's all poison.
Yeah, that was my try.
How much do you want your teeth straight? Well, you put up the things that are poison. How much do you want them? You want them blood in your face or anything like this, so you look better. People want it. It's up to you, That's kind of neat that figure out stuff, what they're doing with that.
In regard to the orthotropics, I think that Dr. Hinden, I think it was that he was talking about, or Hinden, yesterday or a couple days ago when he was showing some of the HRV and how Dr. Bill, out of Thousand Oaks, he does a lot of orthotropics. He's a big fan of Dr. John Mew, but he uses acrylic and metal. So you're gonna find that if you have to accomplish certain dentistry or orthodontics, you're gonna be limited to some of the, expanders and acrylic and metal or Invisalign or whatever, it's just going to be hard for you to, because I've been around that, and there are people who have allergies to Invisalign, and then they don't want metals in their mouth, and then you say, okay, you know what, I don't know how to help you. Because at some point, something's got to give in the equation in order for you to accomplish what they want.
Yeah, but now you can, yeah.
That's where myofascial orthodontics and hygienists are really taking off.
Myobrace, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's Myobrace
Yeah.
that you can actually do stuff, but you're going to have some limited stuff with that in adults. With kids that are growing, yeah, because you have growth on your side. So, but with adults, you're going to find out that if they're okay with it, you can take care of their breathing, airway, and all that stuff, and then maybe some general straightening or alignment or expansion, but it's going to be limited, right? So, yeah. But it just depends on your patient, how holistic they want to stay on the spectrum of, holistics. It comes back to, again, the patient and how they want to proceed, really.
So, it is 11.
It's 11 o'clock, yeah.
I have a few minutes, and you can start breaking it down to